Hi guys, today I'm going to be giving a review and a kind of compare and contrast between the Spro Bronzeye 65 frog and the Terminator 3-inch Walking Frog. For a long time the Spro Bronzeye was, kind of really the original everyday kind of frog. There was frog before it, but when Dean Rojas came out with this, it was made for frogging all day. He tuned it up to his specifications, and it was, the original kind of next generation frog. But now there's 20, 30 different companies with decent frogs on the market. So I had been using the Spro for a long time, almost exclusively. It's a really good frog, but this past season I tried some other ones out just to see, if there was something better. You always got to keep your mind open. And it's also pretty expensive. I think it's $8.99 right now on Tackle Warehouse, which not terrible, but there's some cheaper ones out there. So out of all the ones I tried, the one frog that actually seemed to have its place in my boat right next to the Spro is the Terminator Walking Frog. This is the 3-inch model. It's a little bit bigger than a Spro frog, a little bit wider, not really longer. So just to give you guys a kind of a pros and cons of this frog. The first thing I look for in the frog is casting ability, casting accuracy and casting distance. Now the Spro Bronzeye 65 is a 5/8 ounce model, and the Terminator is actually 11/16. So that actually is 1/16 heavier than the Spro. The weight on a frog is very important because you need to be able to get maximum casting distance. There's a few frogs out there that are decent, except for the fact that they're not heavy enough, and you can't cast them far enough for what I like to, for my needs. So as far as casting distance, the Terminator Walking Frog is pretty decent. It casts almost as far as the Spro. It's not quite as aerodynamic, but it casts fairly well. One of the negatives, though, compared to the Spro, is the accuracy. Because I think it's because of the shape. It tends to kind of get caught up in the wind and shoot to one side or the other. It's very hard to make pinpoint long casts with this, whereas with the Spro, I mean, you can hit a very small area in the middle of a weed patch from 30, 40 yards away. I mean, you can land it right where you want to land it every time. Whereas the Terminator, it's kind of a gamble. You're not going to hit the same spot every time. So that's one positive for the Spro, but the Terminator is still not horrible at those things. Another thing is skipping. A lot of times we skip our frogs under trees, under docks, under brush, and that is where the Terminator shines. This is the best skipping frog that I've ever used. It will, the Spro skips pretty well, but the Terminator skips incredible. You can skip it way back under the trees or under docks with very little effort. I think because it's more kind of a wider body, it's a little bit more flat. It's like skipping a flat stone. So the skipping is excellent on the Terminator. I really was impressed. So then another big thing with frogs is hook sets, hookup ratios. The Terminator was actually very good with hookup ratio. I was pleasantly surprised. It's a bigger frog, so I would have thought that it would have been a little bit lower. The hooks are both the same, but I've last year fishing this frog quite a bit. I had an excellent hookup ratio with it. Even for smallmouth, they would get hooked pretty high percentage of the time. If not, at least the same as the Spro, if not more. I would say a better percentage than the Spro. So that's another pro for the Terminator. Durability, which is another big thing on frogs. I mean, when you're spending $9-10 a frog, and I think that the Terminator right now is $9.59 on Tackle Warehouse. You want that frog to be able to last at least a little while. I mean, they're not like soft plastic baits where you can catch one fish and just throw it out and grab a new one. I mean, it gets expensive. Last year I went through about 30 Spro frogs, so I mean that's like $300 just in Spro frogs, and I have a graveyard of them that are all tore up and ripped and stuff. There's a few different things that happen to a Spro frog that cause you to retire it early. One is the weight on the back of the frog will fall out occasionally. Another is the front where the eyelet is. It will rip to one side or the other and the plastic will rip. And then of course just tears in the frog itself, like especially if you're fishing where there's northern pike or muskie. If they get a hold of it, it's probably going to get tore up and it's going to sink. You can use glue like Mend It or super glue, which it works okay, but ultimately I usually just grab a new frog and tie it on. Now the Terminator, it did solve one of those problems because the way that the weight is in the back, it's not going to fall out. It's basically built right into it as far as I can tell. So that is a big plus. I fished this individual frog for quite a while and caught a lot of fish on it. And it finally tore at the tip of the frog where the eyelet is. Just like I was talking about, the Spros sometimes do as well. So eventually something's got to give. But I mean, I probably caught 40 or 50 fish on this frog, so it did the job. I was very impressed with it. So am I going to switch over to the Terminators completely? No. I will probably have both tied on. I mean, I frog a lot. They both have their time and place. The Spro is great for long distance, accurate casting where you're fishing a giant lily pad field or something like that, and you see a fish blow up, 30 yards away. You have to be able to hit that spot on a dime instantly, and that's where the Spro frog comes in. You can hit the same spot every time. It's very accurate, so it's great for long distance fishing. But for close quarters, I really like the Terminator, and I think I'm going to use it a lot more this year. Skipping trees, skipping docks, just fishing stuff that's close to you. I feel like you get a better hook set. It's easier to skip and a little bit easier to walk. They're both pretty easy to walk, but the Terminator walks very nice. With all my frogs, you can see that I've trimmed the tails. It's not really a big deal. I just like to trim them. They look kind of ridiculous with the long tail. But so that is my review of the Terminator frog compared to the Spro frog. Like I said, they're both great frogs. They're definitely my favorite too. I've tried many other brands, and these stand out for me. So I will have both of these tied on next year, and they both will catch a lot of fish. Like I said, the Terminator is a little bit more expensive. They're both right around the $9 mark, so price isn't a big deal. So yeah, I think you'll have great success on both of these if you use them in the right spots. If you were only going to buy one frog, I would still go with the Spro. I think it's better all around. But like I said, for those situations where you're skipping or short, close contact with fish, I would go with the Terminator. So thanks for watching, and we're gonna have plenty more of these videos. If you have any suggestions on what products to compare or which ones to review, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.